Hey, girl, welcome back.
Welcome back. Oh, just a couple days. Just, you know, had a couple days to burn.
One single month?
Just a few weeks. Well, otherwise, hey, great to be back with you, ladies. Definitely missed all of you. Thank you for all the warm messages. It is warm start this morning. 81 for the temperature reading. The feels like temperature of 89. You can already feel the transition, those cooling downpours that were with us last week. That is not going to be true for us this week. So that extreme steam that has been out of the forecast over the last week, it is back. And it will be noticeable this morning due to the lack of precipitation. Now, we've got plenty of moisture in place that could still allow for a few brief showers. It's not until the middle of the week when that heat ridge is right over the Lone Star State, and that will knock those rain chances below 20%. But for today, I've got you penciled in for a 30% chance of some of those showers, isolated thunderstorms this afternoon, this morning, mainly along the coast, and then a few of those may end up moving inland to impact some of your inland plans, or your outdoor plans, I should say, late this afternoon into the evening hours. And then you can see those thunderstorms or those rain showers fizzling out as the sun goes down. And we're talking less than 1/100th of an inch of rain. Very, very low precipitation. Any sort of measurable rain will be on the low side. Otherwise, here's a look at temperatures. This is what's going to be noticeable. Temperature readings this morning running milder, upper 70s to low 80s. We're back in the low 90s. In fact, looking at the latest computer models, I've got you for a high of 91. I may need to bump up that temperature. Some of the models are trending warmer with some drier air blowing in. We'll continue to watch that, but a 30% chance that that wet weather will move in later on today, ladies. Seem quiet for us this morning. So let's first talk about the tropics before we get back to our local weather. It's quiet right now in the Gulf of Mexico. We've got some disorganized showers that are blowing through the Hispaniola area, but there is one area that we're continuing to watch out here in the central Atlantic. Later on this week into the weekend, this is going to be moving toward the northern parts of the Caribbean here. And as it continues to move toward the Caribbean and potentially closer toward the Bahamas and Cuba, the conditions are looking more favorable at this point for some tropical development. Right now, the National Hurricane Center has development odds at 50%, so a medium chance that we may see either a tropical depression or maybe even our next named storm, which would be Debbie, is the next name on the list. Now, something that I want to show you is, regardless of development, we're going to be monitoring the moisture associated with this tropical wave. And as you can see, I've paused it, moving somewhere into the Lesser Antilles toward Puerto Rico later on this week. So for those of you that are trying to squeeze in maybe a last-minute summer vacation toward the Caribbean, know that there is going to be some rain, some wind with this. But then you'll notice that that deeper tropical moisture should be entering the northwest Caribbean as we head into the weekend. Parts of Florida may be talking about some rain, as well as the Bahamas. And then it pushes a little bit closer toward us here across southeast Texas, toward Texas, Louisiana, right around the northern Gulf Coast here as we get into the middle part of next week. So we'll have to monitor whether or not this continues to trend wetter for us again as we get into early next week. But we're mostly dry right now. It's going to have to battle that moisture for us the next several days. We'll be battling some Saharan dust, and as you know, that dust also means some drier air. So rain chances today, as that dust is still far removed, is about 30%. But by the middle of the week, we'll start to see a thicker concentration of this dust impact us. So those of you that are susceptible to those very fine particles, just know you're going to want to make sure you limit some of that outdoor activity, especially as we get into the Tuesday night, Wednesday, and even Thursday time frame. Won't be until Friday where most of that dust starts to lift out of here. Okay, this is a nice change. You're seeing a lot of MAP on 13 alert radar, and anytime you see more MAP than precipitation, that is a good thing, especially after the week that we had. Mostly dry conditions. We are going to notice a few of these quick moving rain showers along the coast over the next couple of hours, and then some of these showers will be pushing inland as we get into the afternoon. The coverage for today at about 30% with an isolated thunderstorm possible. Otherwise, look for mostly cloudy conditions to start you off this morning. We've got got more sunshine in the forecast for you. This afternoon, those of you headed down toward the coastline, doing some boating, some beach going, it's going to be warm. The warm start to the morning is only going to see those temperatures build during the afternoon. And as far as the breeze, we've got a south wind, 10 to 15 knots. The bays and lakes should start off smooth this morning and then get a little choppier as we get into the afternoon as those wave heights start to build anywhere between 1 to 3 feet and those water temperatures in the lower 80s. Here's a look at future track. I mentioned those brief heavy rain showers. Those will be few and far between, mainly along the coastline and then spreading inland between 12 and 6 p.m. Seeing a little bit of coverage there, 30% chance. And then once the sun goes down, you'll notice that the rain chances diminish. Tuesday, pretty much the same pattern, although the moisture slowly starts to dissipate, and we've only got you down for a 20% chance for some wet weather. Otherwise, look for temperature readings today somewhere into the low 90s across the state. You'll notice that those afternoon highs will be a lot hotter out toward Del Rio, looking at a high of 101 this afternoon. And then we're looking at that Saharan dust by the middle of the week, ladies. Eventually another pattern shift that will start over the weekend.
All right.
This heavy rain event, that placed our monthly totals over 7 inches. Yeah, just for the month at Bush Airport. Now, thankfully, as we close out the month of July, it does look like our rain chances will slowly be diminishing. Today's rain chance only at 30%. We'll talk about the return of some Saharan dust and also the latest on the tropics coming up. Too.
Really?
Yeah, all over the place. All right, weather-wise for today. Yeah, unfortunately, that's kind of the disadvantage of having all that rain. Now that water is settled, we'll be talking about the potential for those flood warnings where they still exist. But this morning, thankfully, the radar is showing mostly dry conditions. We've got partly to mostly cloudy conditions. Good morning to those of you living around NRG. Looking pretty good right now with temperature readings in the upper 70s to low 80s. Courtesy of the heat dome is why we are going to start to see some drier conditions as that heat dome continues to slide toward the east. That's going to knock those rain chances down. You can see our rain chances today still at 30%, so I'm not ruling out an isolated thunderstorm. So make sure that you are listening for those thunderstorms, also keeping your eye to the sky. By Wednesday and Thursday, those rain chances below 10%, but we are going to see some Saharan dust make its way back into southeast Texas. I'll have more details on that coming up along with those afternoon highs. You know, I was so sad.
Really?
Hey, I was keeping tabs, actually. Meteorologist Rachel Breyer's doing such a great job tracking those flooding rains. Here's what it looked like. You can see all the color on the map. This is over the last 7 days, and no doubt about it, that rain, that water piling up down along the coastline between 5 to 10, over 10 inches of rain. So no reason why those gators were like, oh, hey, let's come out. Yeah, lots of water there. Unfortunately, that still means we're going to be dealing with some flooding issues. But over the next few days, we're going to see fewer thunderstorms, less flooding potential, and that's going to allow these waters to continue to recede. So Trinity River, Menard Creek, Cypress Creek, East Fork, San Jacinto River, still keeping a close eye on those flood warnings. And also on the southwest side of town, San Bernard River still reporting some flooding, and Tres Palacios River. Now you can see through this evening there is still some color on the map, and that's indicative of a few showers, maybe even a couple of downpours that may move in from the coast and push inland. So not ruling out maybe a 1/10 or even a 1/4 of an inch of rain from some of this heavy rain. Right now things are fairly quiet, although earlier this morning I did find a few brief light rain showers crossing the area right down toward Matagorda County, but those rain showers have already dissipated. Seeing a little bit of activity along the upper Texas, Louisiana coastline. Otherwise, we're starting off this morning, partly to mostly cloudy and dry. 81 degrees, but the feels like temperatures noticeably higher from where we've been the last couple of days. It's been rain cooled. We've got feels like temperatures close to 90 in and around the Houston area. Feels like it's in the low 90s in Galveston. Now, as you watch future track, we've got some clouds that'll be stubborn to clear this morning. We'll see those clouds starting to dissipate in some locations this afternoon, but where we do find those thicker clouds could also come the sea breeze, bringing in a few of those brief heavy showers, maybe even a couple of downpours, couple of rumbles of thunder. Today's rain chance at 30%, and then those rain chances should drop as we get into the evening hours. The big story for us this week is going to be this drying out period because of this heat ridge. This is the same heat ridge that was impacting the West Coast last week. It is sliding eastward, will be with us over the next few days, and then over the weekend, that's going to be sliding back toward the west. So it may not be until this weekend that we slowly start to see those rain chances building once again. Something else that we're going to be monitoring this week, you'll notice that this Saharan dust over the Caribbean today and tomorrow, but by the middle of the week, a pretty thick concentration of this dust is going to be moving in our direction and then beginning to thin out as it continues to track toward the north. So just a heads up for those of you that have any sort of respiratory issues, those of you that have asthma, and typically, you know, these certain things, these particles impact you. You're going to maybe want to make sure you've got those extra medications. You have that on hand, especially as we get into that Wednesday and Thursday time frame when that concentration is going to be the thickest. Out the door this morning, upper 70s to low 80s. Good morning, Katie. You're at 79 degrees. By this afternoon, we're talking highs in the low 90s. With all of that rain last week, those temperatures barely hit 90 degrees. And with those fewer rain chances, no doubt those temperature readings are going to climb. And by Thursday, August 1st, we'll be welcoming that new month with temperature readings back into the mid to upper 90s. And then looking ahead to those rain chances that I just mentioned, a 20% chance on Saturday as that heat ridge moves away. But I think we've got a better chance for some of that wet weather Sunday and Monday. Coming up, we're going to talk about the tropics and how by the middle of that next week, we could be looking at some added moisture, ladies, that may have a tropical connection. That's going to be up in the next half hour.
Don't come back with all of that, Elita. All right, thank you so much.